Imagine arguing with someone you trust, maybe about plans you were sure you made. They look at you, a little confused, maybe even concerned, and say, "We never talked about that. Are you feeling okay? You seem really stressed lately." Suddenly the ground shifts beneath you. It wasn't just a miscommunication, it feels like a glitch in your own memory banks. You start replaying conversations, scrutinizing your own certainty, wondering if maybe, just maybe, you are losing it. That creeping, isolating dread, that feeling your reality is being subtly rewritten by someone else. It has a name: gaslighting. The word feels slick, modern, maybe even overused, tossed around in online arguments like digital confetti. But its power is chillingly real, a targeted attack on your very perception. And its roots go much deeper than you might think, back to a time of flickering lamps and whispered lies. Stick around, because we're about to dissect this insidious tactic piece by piece. We'll unearth its theatrical origins, expose the phrases manipulators deploy like clockwork, probe the terrifying ways technology is warping truth itself, and examine how this plays out under the glare of celebrity scandals, within sterile office walls, and in the supposed sanctuary of our homes. Most importantly, we'll forge a battle plan, a toolkit to help you anchor your reality and push back against the fog. But before we dissect today's digital distortions, we need to travel back almost a century to a dimly lit stage where this mind game first took the spotlight. London, 1938. Europe is holding its breath, teetering on the brink of war. Amidst this tension, playwright Patrick Hamilton unveils Gaslight, a psychological thriller set not on battlefields, but within the suffocating confines of a Victorian drawing room. The villain isn't a spy or a soldier, but the seemingly charming Mr. Manningham. His weapons, moved paintings, hidden trinkets, and the relentless subtle dimming of the house's real gas lamps, all while insisting to his wife, Bella, that the light hasn't changed, that her perceptions are failing, that she is the problem. The play's genius wasn't jump scares. It was the slow, deliberate erosion of Bella's sanity, the drip feed of doubt that makes her question everything she sees and feels. Audiences were captivated by this intimate horror. When Hollywood spun its own version in 1944, starring a luminous Ingrid Bergman, the effect was explosive. Bergman's portrayal of Bella's spiraling confusion and eventual fight for clarity earned her an Academy Award and seared the term gaslighting into the cultural lexicon. It wasn't just movie magic. Psychologists suddenly had a name for a disturbing pattern they'd long observed in patients. That foggy confusion, the pervasive self-doubt, the unsettling sense that one's own mind was an unreliable narrator. Gaslighting became clinical shorthand for a specific type of emotional abuse, a manipulation tactic designed to sever a person's connection to their own reality. Scholars later termed aspects of this epistemic injustice, the act of undermining someone's very capacity to know and trust their own experiences. It wasn't just about lying, it was about destroying the foundation of self-trust. Early therapists even advised patients to keep meticulous logs, almost like detectives in their own lives, tracking incidents to prove they weren't imagining things. A low-tech version of the screenshots and recordings we hoard today. The term was catchy, but the techniques were timeless. So, what does gaslighting actually sound like in everyday conversation? The playbook is disturbingly consistent. Gaslighters rarely open with bombshell lies. They operate with microdoses of doubt, subtle comments designed to slip under your radar and fester. "You're being overly sensitive," they might say, or "Wow, that's not how I remember it at all. Your memory's a bit shaky, isn't it?" Over time, these seemingly small remarks accumulate, creating a pattern of denial and deflection that can make you feel like you're navigating a hall of trick mirrors. Therapists have cataloged dozens of these go-to phrases, but they all share a sinister objective: shift the focus away from the manipulator's behavior and onto your perceived instability or unreliability. Let's break down some classics beyond the obvious straight-up denial. 1. Withholding. They feign confusion or refuse to engage, shutting down communication. I have no idea what you're trying to say, or simply staring blankly until you drop it. 2. Countering. They aggressively question your memory of events, even when you're certain. You're wrong. You never remember things accurately, stated with absolute conviction. 3. Blocking and diverting. They abruptly change the subject or steer the conversation back to your flaws whenever you try to discuss their behavior. Are we really talking about this again? Or is this another one of those crazy ideas you cooked up? 4. Trivializing. They minimize your feelings or concerns, making you feel like your reactions are disproportionate. Why are you making such a big deal out of nothing? Just relax. 5. Forgetting, denial. They conveniently forget promises or events that occurred, making you doubt your own recollection of agreements. I definitely never promised that. You must have imagined it. 6. Stereotyping. They deploy harmful stereotypes based on your gender, age, race, or mental health history to dismiss your perspective. You're just being hormonal. Or, of course, you'd think that. You're always so emotional. Remember that 11-item gaslighting exposure inventory? Researchers developed questions like, how often are you told your perception is wrong? Or, do you frequently feel the need to apologize for your behavior even when you're not sure why? Serve as chilling benchmarks. If you find yourself constantly second-guessing your memories, secretly recording conversations just in case, or needing to debrief with friends after every interaction to confirm you're not crazy, you're likely experiencing this insidious tactic. The core goal isn't just to win an argument, it's to dismantle your confidence in your own mind, making you easier to control. These verbal tricks are potent, but in the 21st century, reality itself became editable, launching gaslighting into terrifying new territory. Enter the age of hyper-realistic deepfakes, AI voice cloning, and sophisticated editing software, now accessible to almost anyone. We've graduated from questioning memories to manufacturing entirely false evidence. Imagine seeing a video of a politician saying something outrageous, only to discover later that it was a nearly perfect digital fabrication. Or discovering an audio clip of your partner seemingly admitting to something created by an AI trained on their voice. The technology is advancing at a rapid pace, making it increasingly difficult to distinguish between real and fake. This phenomenon fuels what experts refer to as the liar's dividend. Once people are aware that convincing fakes exist, they start doubting the authenticity of real videos and audio recordings as well. Trust erodes across the board. Remember that fabricated video of a pop star trash-talking fans in early 2024? Even after it was swiftly debunked, skepticism lingered, poisoning the well of public perception. The World Economic Forum flagging synthetic media as a significant global risk back in January 2025 wasn't just about election interference, it was about the systemic degradation of shared reality. Digital gaslighting also operates on a smaller, more personal scale through subtle manipulations. Think about a toxic colleague selectively editing your Slack messages before forwarding them to twist your meaning. Or an ex meticulously cropping timestamps on texts to make you look like the erratic one initiating late-night arguments. Even curated social media feeds can act as algorithmic gaslighters, creating echo chambers that reinforce biased or false narratives until the outside world starts to feel alien or wrong. With reality itself seemingly up for grabs in the digital marketplace, how do we defend ourselves? Reverse image searches, examining metadata, looking for digital watermarks, and fostering a healthy skepticism are crucial. Browser extensions are emerging that try to detect AI-generated audio or video. But ultimately, the most vigorous defense remains critical thinking and a trusted network to help reality check alarming digital proof. While AI pushes the boundaries of believable lies, Some of the most public and messy gaslighting dramas still unfold under the glare of the celebrity spotlight. Celebrity lives are often lived under a microscope, their relationships and breakups dissected in real time by millions. It's fertile ground for accusations of gaslighting to flourish and trend. We saw this play out with the legal battle surrounding Sean Diddy Combs, where allegations included patterns of manipulation, controlling behavior, and using lavishness to blur lines, followed by stark denials, a whirlwind that tabloids meticulously chronicled. The Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial became a global spectacle, with edited clips fueling intense online debates where both were painted as villain and victim, often simultaneously. Supporters on each side vehemently accused the other party of gaslighting, turning complex personal dynamics into a polarized public feud. More recently, we have seen similar accusations surface in other high-profile splits and controversies, where one party claims their reality was systematically denied or distorted by the other, often using public relations or social media to control the narrative. These public dramas, amplified by algorithms designed for engagement, often showcase extreme versions of gaslighting tactics. However, they also risk diluting the term, sometimes misapplying it to standard disagreements or conflicts. Conversely, genuine victims might be dismissed as fame-seeking or overly dramatic, mirroring the very invalidation they experience privately. A key phenomenon observed here is reactive abuse, where a person subjected to prolonged gaslighting and manipulation finally lashes out in anger or frustration. This reaction is then seized upon by the manipulator, and sometimes the public, as proof that the victim was the unstable or aggressive one all along, effectively flipping the script. The takeaway isn't just about celebrity gossip. It's seeing how fame magnifies the confusion, how easily narratives can be controlled, and how the core tactic remains unchanged from that 1938 play. Manipulate perception, control the story. But you don't need 1 million followers to become a target. This destructive pattern thrives silently in break rooms and boardrooms everywhere. Imagine your manager praises your innovative proposal in a meeting. Still, when you follow up via email, they claim the idea was actually theirs, or worse, that they never liked it in the first place. Or picture working overtime on an urgent task, only to be told later it wasn't a priority and you wasted company time. Welcome to workplace gaslighting. It often hides behind innocuous corporate speak, managing perceptions, ensuring alignment, addressing culture fit. But the underlying message is clear. Reality is dictated from above, and your version doesn't count. This isn't always top-down. Colleagues might gaslight you by subtly sabotaging your work and then feigning ignorance, spreading rumors to undermine your reputation, or consistently forgetting to include you in crucial meetings or email threads. There's even upward gaslighting, where manipulative subordinates might try to destabilize a manager by constantly questioning their decisions, distorting feedback, or sowing dissent within the team. Tactics are varied, moving goalposts on projects, denying previous instructions, fabricating negative feedback from clients or other departments, and taking credit for your successes while blaming you for failures. Over time, the target starts walking on eggshells, drowning in self-doubt, over-documenting every interaction out of fear, and experiencing profound burnout and anxiety. Their career trajectory can stall as their confidence erodes. Fighting back in a corporate environment requires a strategic approach. Meticulous documentation is key. Save emails, take detailed meeting notes, and follow up with summaries. Keep a brag file of accomplishments and positive feedback. If company policy and local laws permit, recording meetings with consent where required can be invaluable. Finding trusted allies, a mentor, a colleague in a different department, or even supportive HR personnel, though tread carefully, is crucial for validation and potential corroboration. Some progressive companies are implementing psychological safety audits to identify toxic dynamics proactively and adding specific anti-gaslighting clauses to management training. However, navigating this often requires careful calculation about when and how to escalate concerns, potentially seeking external legal advice if the situation becomes untenable. The professional arena can be brutal, but the deepest cuts often happen behind closed doors, wrapped in the language of love. Now, romantic gaslighting is particularly insidious because it hijacks the vulnerability and trust inherent in intimacy. It rarely starts with overt cruelty. Instead, it begins subtly, often during the honeymoon phase. Maybe your partner initially adored your quirks, then starts criticizing them, claiming friends have noticed, or it makes you look bad. They might rewrite shared memories. "I never said we'd move in together, you must have dreamt that." They isolate you from friends and family, suggesting that they are bad influences or don't understand your relationship. Every disagreement somehow becomes your fault due to your bad memory, oversensitivity, or instability. You start questioning yourself constantly. Am I really that difficult? Did I imagine that promise? Am I going crazy? This often follows a predictable, gut-wrenching pattern known as the dissonance cycle. 1. Tension building. Small digs, criticisms, increasing control. 2. The incident. A blow-up, overt gaslighting, denial of reality. 3. Reconciliation, honeymoon. Apologies, gifts, intense affection, promises it won't happen again. 4. Calm. Things seem normal, luring you back into a false sense of security, until the tension starts building again, often escalating each time. Survivors describe feeling like they're constantly walking on eggshells, losing their sense of self in the fog of confusion and emotional whiplash. Gaslighting isn't confined to romantic partners, it's painfully familiar within families. Parents might deny or rewrite childhood events, invalidate a child's feelings. "You have nothing to be upset about?" Or blame one child for familial problems. Siblings might manipulate each other through similar tactics, especially in competitions for parental approval or resources. This ties into the broader concept of coercive control, where gaslighting is one tool among many, like isolation, intimidation, and financial control, used to dominate a partner or family member. Escaping these situations is uniquely challenging due to deep emotional bonds, shared histories, financial dependence, and the profound fear of being alone or disbelieved. The gaslighter might even use threats against themselves or you to prevent you from leaving. Recognizing the patterns is the first crucial step, but how do you actually break free and reclaim your reality? It's time to build your defenses. Okay, let's shift from analyzing the darkness to switching on the lights. Fighting back against gaslighting requires courage, a strategic approach, and support. Think of it as building a multi-layered shield around your perception of reality. The core framework is document, corroborate, confront, safely. 1. Document everything. This is your anchor. Keep a detailed, dated log of incidents. What was said, what happened, who was present, how it made you feel. Use secure, encrypted apps or password-protected files. Screenshot texts, save emails and voicemails. Be meticulous. Label files clearly, for example, 2025-April-15, Conversation Denial Project X. This isn't about paranoia, it's about creating an objective record that counters the "it's all in your head" narrative. Evidence turns subjective confusion into demonstrable patterns. 2. Corroborate externally. Gaslighting thrives in isolation. Break that isolation by sharing your experiences and documentation with trusted, objective third parties. This could be a therapist, a close friend known for their level-headedness, a supportive family member outside the toxic dynamic, or a mentor or HR contact if it's work-related. Choose someone who won't just blindly take your side, but will help you validate your perception of events. Hearing someone else say, "No, that's not okay," or "Yes, that sounds like manipulation," can be incredibly powerful in restoring your self-trust. 3. Confront safely and set boundaries. Confrontation isn't always about a dramatic showdown. Sometimes it's simply stating facts calmly and disengaging from attempts to distort them. When you feel safe and ready, you might say, "Actually, the records show you approved this on Tuesday." Or, "We can discuss this when you're ready to stick to the facts, but I won't engage with attempts to deny what happened." Use I statements focused on behavior, not character. When my memory is constantly questioned, I feel undermined. Crucially, set firm boundaries. Examples: I will end conversations where my experiences are denied. From now on, all significant agreements need to be in writing. I will not participate in circular arguments. Techniques like gray rocking, becoming emotionally unresponsive and boring to the manipulator, can also be effective in de-escalating. If direct confrontation feels unsafe, consider mediated communication or sticking strictly to documented channels. Beyond these steps, seek professional help. Therapists trained in modalities like cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, dialectical behavior therapy, DBT, or trauma-informed care can help you process the abuse, rebuild self-esteem, and develop coping strategies. Invest in self-care that anchors you. Practice mindfulness to stay present, journaling that focuses on validating your own experiences, reconnecting with hobbies, and re-establishing relationships with supportive people you've been isolated from. Rebuilding trust in your own judgment is a process. Be patient with yourself. Consider researching local support groups or legal aid organizations if the situation warrants it. Building your personal shield is vital, but the fight against gaslighting doesn't stop there. From its origins on a gaslit London stage, this insidious form of manipulation has shape-shifted its way through Hollywood films, psychological textbooks, digital deepfakes, celebrity Twitter feuds, toxic workplaces, and the quiet undercurrents of intimate relationships. Gaslighting's actual venom isn't overt aggression. It's the slow, corrosive drip of doubt that makes you question your mind, your memories, your sanity. It's the silencing power that makes you afraid to trust your voice. But knowledge is illumination. You now recognize the historical roots, the manipulator's playbook of phrases, the dangers of digital distortion, the cautionary tales from public life, the red flags in professional and personal settings, and crucially, a toolkit to fight back. You understand the importance of documenting reality, seeking validation, setting boundaries, and rebuilding your inner compass. Use this knowledge. Share it. Because every single time someone confidently pushes back against reality distortion, every time someone says, "Wait, that's not right, and here's why," the collective fog of manipulation thins just a little bit more. So, here's your mission if you choose to accept it. If this exploration resonated with you, if it sparked a moment of recognition, share your thoughts below. What's one gaslighting tactic or phrase you've learned to spot? Your comment might be the lifeline someone scrolling in the dead of night needs to see they aren't alone. Hit that like button to help the algorithm shine this light for others, and subscribe for more deep dives into the psychology of manipulation and resilience. Next week, we're tackling a mind game that often disguises itself as helpfulness or concern. You won't want to miss it. Until then, trust your perceptions, keep your receipts, literal or metaphorical, and remember, you have the power to control the light switch in your own mind. Once you do, the shadows don't stand a chance.